Okay, when you have your animal, so let's talk about what we've done so far on our animal and where we go from here, okay? First of all, you hopefully drew your sketch of your animal in vine charcoal, like an outline, okay? Then we talked about how you have to use the vine charcoal because it erases so well and it smudges so well to put in a lot of grays, okay? So then you want to color in, like I could do a few things darker, but when you shade with vine charcoal, it's literally scribbling. You just have to scribble a little charcoal on there and then blend with your finger or with a tissue or a paper towel and get it a little bit darker, okay? So you're still not worrying about texture at that point. You're just worrying about putting charcoal on the paper and establishing most of your grays. Because we want to use our eraser as a tool, but our eraser will not do anything until you get some charcoal on the paper, okay? So like right here on the bunny, I can tell like the fur is like a bit darker, so I just want to put that in, okay? So you use vine charcoal to put in a lot of grays. Then at that point you can start using your eraser. I really like just a regular number 2 eraser, especially when it's brand new because it has some sharp edges on it. You can use a big eraser, a kneaded eraser, whatever works, but then you start erasing some of the lighter areas. And like I said before, if you don't put some charcoal down, the erasing isn't going to do anything. So you have to have some charcoal on the paper for your eraser to even be a tool, okay? So I'm just kind of looking for some of the light places, and I'm doing it kind of in a fur texture type of way, like little lines, okay? And if you're wondering about it, we're not even thinking about white charcoal at this point, okay? White charcoal is like sprinkles on a cupcake. If you put your sprinkles on and then you go back and decide later that you want to add more frosting, that's going to muck up all your sprinkles and mix them in with the frosting. It's going to look really ugly. Same thing is going to happen if you put white charcoal on too early. It's going to mix, and then later you decide, oh, I need dark charcoal here. And then dark charcoal is just messy and it smears, and it's just going to mix in with your white charcoal and make it look mucky and yucky, okay? So you want to have a really nice finished drawing without any white charcoal, kind of like a cupcake, you know. Sprinkles aren't required. You can have a really nice finished frosted cupcake, okay? It can look good, but then you put the sprinkles on at the very end and it just kind of lights it up. Just kind of finishes it off in a really pretty way, okay? So don't even worry about white charcoal at this point until you're like completely done with the drawing. Then you can do it, okay? You want to make sure you're totally done before you add it. Okay, so see how I'm using my eraser to kind of put in some fur texture along the edges here, put in some highlights. I could do down here. Anyway, but there's only so much that your eraser is going to do at this point. So we want to start putting in some darks. Now, the thing we love about vine charcoal is that it erases easily, it smears easily, it blends easily, but those are also the bad things about vine charcoal, that it's not very permanent. It just smudges away when you want something to stay. It doesn't get as dark as we want it to. So it has its limitations, okay? So at this point, we're gonna retire the vine charcoal. It's not a tool anymore, okay? Now we need to start using actual charcoal, a charcoal pencil, and then I'll talk about the big charcoal, but really with animals, you don't need like a big stick of charcoal because it's just this is a lot of detail stuff. Big sticks of charcoal are if you're going to color a large dark area. Okay, so now I can start creating some of my fur texture with my dark charcoal. Okay, so some tips for fur are the length of the line is important. Okay, shorter hairs are going to be shorter lines. Longer hairs are going to be longer lines. Okay, so you want to adjust your line accordingly. When you start a new area, you know, ask yourself, is it kind of like a tiger's nose is all fuzzy, you know? It's because the hairs are so short. And then later other places like the tiger's cheeks, the hair is a lot longer. So your lines will be longer. The other thing that's important about fur is the direction of your line. So fur is constantly changing direction in really subtle ways, and there's little like curves. So always be looking. Don't get caught up just drawing lines all over this bunny's face, or you're gonna get carried away and do it in the wrong direction, and then it's gonna look weird. So while I'm doing this, I don't know, I wanna just tell you guys, like, I'm constantly looking at my reference photo, okay? So that I'm constantly adjusting and changing the direction of the bunny's fur, my lines, to look like the bunny's fur, okay? And then darker areas, I cluster more of my lines. Lighter areas, I'll leave a little bit more space around my lines. Like this area is just gray, so I don't have to have as many lines, okay? Okay, now you may start doing this and realize, oh, it just looks so liney, okay? Yeah, if it looks too liney, then take a tortillon. Like it kind of, maybe if it looks like the bunny's like pokey or something, you know, and I want a softer look, just take the tortillon and slightly, very gently kind of smudge over your fur texture and just soften it a bit, okay? Your lines will still be there, but it just kind of softens it a bit, okay? Same with like right here too, especially right here. It's not so liney. And then, aside from fur, you can, you know, kind of shade like you're typically used to shading with the dark charcoal. So like the tip of the ear here, I'm just noticing has a dark area right here. Kind of like the eye as well. I just shaded that darker. Oh, sorry, that's not even on the camera. Okay, so anything that's not necessarily fur or texture, you just use your dark charcoal and start darkening the areas that should be dark, okay? Again, your vine charcoal is really only goes so far, okay? Your vine charcoal was a good sketch. Now you mostly need to redraw on top of that vine charcoal. You're erasing your highlights and your the things that are dark, you are drawing over with the actual charcoal, okay? And then the vine charcoal really only stays itself in the gray areas. Okay, and then stuff like the grass, these kind of blurry details in the back, I'm just getting a kneaded eraser. So bigger areas, okay, so like, oh, don't do that. Say I want to draw some of this grass.
Students, we have a jacket that was left on the bus. If you left a gray and white jacket on the bus, come on in and pick it up.
Okay, thanks, Jill. So I'm using the kneaded eraser in the background because you can see it's just, you've got this kind of like blurry, out of focus look, okay? So I really don't need to do much in the background, just something to suggest grass, okay? But these ones in the front, really I should have done all my fur behind it first, okay? But then you can, so you can erase it and then kind of re-outline so it stands out a bit more, if that makes sense. Now I don't mean outline like draw a hard dark line around it. I mean like add a bit of shading behind it so that the light area actually stands out. Okay, I think you have the idea, and I think this video has gone on long enough. So continue adding to your drawing. Start darkening the dark areas with your charcoal, lightening light areas with your erasers, and adding textures. Good luck!